Okay, fantastic. I think we're up and going. Okay, I just wanted to introduce Hazel Butterworth here. So she is the first Reiki teacher I've ever had. I just wanted to have her on here. Maybe I'll call it the show. I wanted to have a good example of heart-centered teachers. So I think she's a perfect example. I want to let her get
Hmm.
talking about Reiki here, and we can go from there.
Okay, thanks, Corey. Um, and I will say reciprocal. You were a fabulous student. You had that open mind, and you were willing to learn, and you were willing to do the work, and that is key to learning Reiki. And it's not even learning Reiki; it's understanding what is Reiki. All right, and it's a big question.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of myths out there right now with Reiki, and I've been promoting that out there because some say that Reiki you have to believe it for it to work. Myth. They
Yeah.
say that you have to, it's just table work and it's energy work. Myth.
Yeah.
All right. There's a lot of myths out there. And for me, from day one, I mean, I've been teaching Reiki for over 16 years. And I've had a broad uh, sense of students coming with from different walks of life, from different backgrounds, different paths, and everybody is meeting it with a different awareness of what Reiki is. But one thing that's different for me is I don't just teach table work, that actually goes at the very end. And Reiki is all about you. It really is about tuning into yourself and understanding yourself because we're all energy beings.
Yeah.
And when we understand that, even our thoughts, our behavior, our actions, all those energy vibes, and that creates this chemistry within us. And we can navigate that. We can tune into that and understand it, which means we can harness it. We can direct the flow. We can release it. We can bring more in. It's such a wonderful dance of energy. It's some refer to it as the aliveness, right, within you.
I found you mentioned there with the connection, like things you were teaching, connecting to your higher self. The minute you did that, it's like you hit the ground running. And I think some things I wanted to tell people with this was Riku is so much more than just if you read about it online, like off camera, what we're talking about there, you'll hear it's this Japanese relaxation technique and all this sort of thing. And I mean, it is transformative. It will transform a life. I've seen it time and time again. I've seen people, they go through the levels and they are a different person. That
You
heaviness,
are
the light comes out in them, and any gifts they have can awaken. Um, you teach the spiritual or the personal development very well. That, along with it, is a huge, like, if people are looking for personal growth, it is insanely powerful. I can't even describe it. And even when you look at, well, people might look and it's so unassuming that you're going, oh, so like I'm not sure the structure you're doing. When I did it, what was it, total maybe 4 days over the course of several years. And you're going, okay, what's 4 days? 4 days will change your life. The rest of your life will be changed. I mean, you do it, and then you're going through an integration, gifts are waking up, you're clearing traumas, everything's coming awake in you, and it's phenomenal. I can't recommend it enough. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's just say it is an awakening process, right? Because you become self-aware. Reiki is not something you do. And again, um, there's a lot of teachers out there. There's a lot of people doing Reiki, and it's all about the table work and the session. And look what I can do. Because yes, we can, with permission, it is possible to work with energy, right? And as you know, but Reiki is not something you do, it's something you become. And it's part of that self awareness, that awakening process that we realize that, yes, I am energy, but it's looking at it's being connected, it's being grounded, it's being having that open communication with your heart and soul. It's your heart and soul that's leading you, not your headspace. And that's the difference, right? We're living in this 3D world of duality and polarity. And that's where ego is, and that's where that right, wrong, that yin yang. But we are actually whole and complete. And it's interesting because over the years, I see all these different modalities. And then I think, well, that's a fragment of Reiki, that's a fragment of Reiki, and everything's been so dissected and separated, not realizing Reiki's effectiveness lies in its simplicity.
Yeah.
And it's because of its simplicity that people want to add things to it and say, no, it should be more complicated because If it's good, it has to be complicated. We have to learn. And it's not. It's as simple as being aware of who you are being in this moment. We talked about source,
Yeah.
universe, God, which whatever term you're comfortable with, right? There is only one. We are all fragments of that whole, and we're all interconnected. We all are as one, and we are soul, we are spirit, and humane being. We are in this state of being, which is that combination of your thoughts and your emotions, and it's learning to navigate that. And in the 3D world, in that dualistic, we get caught up in being the victim and things are happening to you. The
Yeah.
beauty of Reiki is when you understand we are this energy and we can tune into our heart and our soul and trust that inner guidance, which we were born with, then life becomes easier. And we have then the ability to navigate anything that presents. So life happens for you. Everything that shows up. My latest student was just flabbergasted because there was a major catastrophe. And she said, had I not just learned Reiki, I would have been in panic mode. I would have been in fear. I would have been frazzled. She said, and I was able to navigate this major event, which was could have been very sad and heartbreaking, but she was able to navigate it with ease.
Yeah.
And she didn't attach those, because every experience we attach an emotion and a memory. And if you can be aware of what you're attaching, we don't have to store the anger, we don't have to store the guilt. We can just navigate and move through it.
Can
So
you
it's like it doesn't stick.
can you mention, because you mentioned it to me when I was learning, even in first aid situations, Reiki can be used. You can use it on animals, you can use it on others, anything. Somebody sprains an ankle, somebody is, I don't know, having a panic attack, somebody thinks there's a heart issue. I've done that on people, and I know you said you have too. It
Yeah,
is, as we were saying off camera, I feel, and I'm not sure how you feel, that it's foundational. It really is, like, as a spiritual practice, right up there with meditation. And if you're really looking for spiritual growth, and I think one of the biggest ones, and you already touched on it, learning yourself. Learning yourself.
I have a bias. I have a bias because I promote Reiki as being the best foundation you can get, because you learn energetically who we are. We learn like a philosophy in life. It teaches us to live in the moment. The philosophy is just for today. And then as we go through and in level 3, then we really focus on just for this moment, because that's all we have is this never-ending, ever-changing moment, right? We're just simply evolving. As we experience, we evolve. And that's what Reiki helps you to do. That's the navigation part. But for spirituality, and again, that ties in with belief. There's not a conflict, but sometimes a misunderstanding that spirituality is religion, and they're two separate things. Religion is based on belief. You have to believe those set of rules, those guidelines, and live by them. We have a philosophy in Reiki that is just teaching you to simply live in the moment and be aware of who you are being and what is your state of being in this moment. And you have choice. You can choose to stay like that, or you can choose to change. It's ever evolving. And that spirituality is really connecting to yourself and to source. It's the earth, it's the universe, being open to the universe. It's connecting within your heart and soul, so you become one. And that keeps you so much in this sort of neutral space that anything that comes, it's like being a tennis player. The ball goes that way, you run that way, but you come back to home base. Then it goes off that way, you go that way, you come back to home base. And that's kind of like that grounding, centering is you are always there, and whatever shows up, you simply navigate it and work through it. It doesn't have to be difficult. Life doesn't have to be difficult.
I just feel like,
And Reiki helps.
well, that it's such a good time with what's going on in the world to be learning something like this. I mean, the earth is ascending, we're going into fifth dimension and beyond, depending on where you're at. And I mean, foundational, but also having the teacher there to guide the student. When
It
somebody's
is, because
waking up to who they are, what their gifts are, they're going through a deep detoxification process I've seen in a lot of people, myself included. It is invaluable to have an experienced teacher there with you going, okay, I've seen this, I've navigated these waters before, and having the personal development there too, and it being heart centered. So you had mentioned to me before, um, well, it's simple enough that a child could learn, literally, that from a young age, energy can be that simple. And it's like it is part of our natural state. We aren't just this physical body. And I feel like it just opens you up to such a world that there's more behind all of this table and these walls. And when I first came to Reiki, I was in a state where a lot of stuff had really slid in my life and I was looking for meaning. And I remember it just was like somebody, I don't know, turned the light switch on or just went, hey, by the way, there's this whole other side to life. You always had to feel
Yeah.
like there was more to it. And then it's kind of going, wow, it's just phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. There, it is another side. A side is it's looking at life from a totally different perspective, and again with energy work and opening up and awakening and realizing that we are born with these gifts, right? We all have this uniqueness within us. We all have a genius within us. But most people, and you mentioned right now with the chaos that's going on, a lot of people are functioning through fear.
Yeah.
And fear is very debilitating, it's very contracting, and it holds you down. And with Reiki, we learn to live from the heart and embrace everything. As scary as it may seem, we trust that whatever's showing up, there is a way through. Because you mentioned the table, nothing is solid, not even the table. I mean, quantum physics, science is catching up, which I really love, and is really supporting a lot of what we've been teaching, but science wasn't proving, right? For the everyday person that needs that tangible, I want proof.
Yeah.
And science is catching up, and quantum physics has really opened the door for that, because even the smallest of molecules is blinking in and out of existence. That's not solid. We're not solid. We have the appearance that we're solid because the frequency and the vibrations are such a lower, it's a lower frequency. The higher the frequency, the more dense. So a good example of that would be moisture. If we think moisture is consciousness, and moisture's in the air, but when the frequency changes, we get clouds. Still not solid, but you can see them. They look solid, but they're not, right? We see this blob. And then as that frequency changes, we get the rain and the water. So now it becomes more physical, but you can put your hand through water. It's not solid, right? It's a body of water. We're a body of consciousness. So it's a body of water. And then if the frequency lowers again, it becomes ice. But that ice is still not solid, it's always changing. And I think when we can relate to that concept, we realize that consciousness is everything. It's within all of us. And same as that energy frequency, we are this physical being, but really it's just a lower frequency.
Yeah.
So it's in the visible light, right? When you look at the spectrum, right in the middle is visible light, and that's where we exist, which is interesting why Reiki, energy, color, and sound is all in that sort of visible. The rest is invisible. The microwaves and X-rays, they still exist, but they're invisible. And that's where the vitality is and the health is, right? And if we can understand ourselves as energy, as light, as color, as sound, then that is all inclusive. And it's not difficult, it's not weird, it's not way out there. It's just very practical application of understanding that we are energy. And that's what Reiki teaches. It helps you to tune in to your own frequencies, just like we're, a radio and tuning into the right station.
I think it's because part of it, like you said, it's not weird. You awaken to your true self. If we've been taught you live in this 3D reality, this is just the way it is. These things are solid. You do like this table's solid. You do this, you do that. You have to strive and strain to do this, this, and this. And then all of a sudden you're told, you mean consciousness, vibration is the way it's going to come to me. Law of attraction is involved in this. It all plays together. Oh, you mean I can connect with loved ones who aren't alive anymore and can connect through all time and space. And it just, there's so much there that you're going, wow. It's like someone opens a big door, like, hey, by the way, this is the way the world really is. And you're kind of going,
Yeah.
whoa. Um, yeah, I will say for anyone watching, I highly suggest if you're going to learn Reiki, and I say this to anyone, like one of the best ways for the healing and growth in general, learn Reiki, not just receive Reiki, learn it, but go up to a level 3, for sure, a master level. It's even seen people who took 1 and 2 and then took a 3 that went to a master level. It's a big difference. It's a big jump, and it's about self mastery. So yeah, it's really
It
phenomenal.
is. I mean, it creates self-awareness, and through self-awareness, that gives you understanding. And then you get self-empowerment, which is liberating because now we can actually make those choices, but we make them consciously and we make them aligned to our heart and soul. So it's important to be able to really tune in and connect to heart and soul. And the breathing, that is so important as well to include. All of that that slows you down and quietens you down. And then you can hear and differentiate between that busy chitter chatter in
Yeah.
your head to the actual inner voice that is quiet and only whispers. It
Mm.
can be very direct, it can be very truthful. It might not be what you want to hear, but it is always for your highest good. And when you understand that, then as you evolve with Reiki, you and practice more, really what you're doing is practicing communicating with yourself
Mm.
because your soul has your blueprint, it has your life plan. So who best to connect to
Yeah.
is talk to your soul, talk to your inner self,
Mhm.
right? That, ultimately, when you said about everyone being on different planes of existence, right? There's still um, your guides, people who've passed over. Yes, we still communicate. We
Absolutely.
just don't physically see them because we're living in this 3D world that we mentioned of polarity, but we're experiencing this 3D world through our physical 5 senses, what we physically think we see, right? 'Cause it's all perception, feel, taste, smell, etc. And people talk about their sixth sense, and I challenge that because actually it's your first sense because you came into this world with it. You came in already
With your
in tune
clarity.
with yourself and knowing why you're here. It's
Oh,
your,
okay.
yes, your clairs.
Yeah.
They are innate within you.
Yeah.
It's just as children, we've forgotten how to use them. And then in adulthood, it's like,
Oh,
let's practice this. And we can, yeah,
imaginary friends. A lot of the time, imaginary
yeah,
friends, they could be guides, they could be past for loved ones, and just, oh, why so and so talking to
absolutely.
a friend? It's like they're probably, and I know dogs and little children, they can see very easily. Um,
Yeah. They
yeah,
do, and they're in tune with that, but they haven't kept that going. So really, I challenge that. Your sixth sense is not your sixth sense, it's your first sense. And that's the one that's most natural to you because that's innate within you.
I think
So we work with that as well, right? Yeah. Yeah.
part of it
And,
is,
and then the soul, spirit, and human, your soul is that fragment that comes to have this experience. Your spirit energy is actually your thoughts, emotions, and your awareness, which is actually in the energy fields around your body, which people refer to as the aura. But what we experience, what people think are thoughts, is actually all that energy, all that communication happening. When it comes in, your brain is just the processor, like a computer, and it translates it into a language.
yeah,
Feelings are emotions that are translated into physical feelings. And when you realize it's as simple as that, then it's easier to understand. It's not anything foreign.
yeah.
It's not anything foo-foo. And anyone that does anything that's really foo-foo or anyone that has, I mean, I've had some weird rituals from people. Well, I have to do this or I have to protect myself. You don't have to protect yourself. If you say you have to protect yourself, you're coming from fear. We recognize there's different. I mean, there's good and bad in everybody. We talked about the shadow self earlier. That
Eh,
exists with everybody. It's the yin yang.
Yep.
What's there to be afraid of? It's a part of you. Ego is a part of you. Why try and get rid of it? But you learn to understand ego,
Shadow gets
and ego's your friend.
shadow gets a bad connotation. I agree, ego's your friend. You should learn to love your ego as much as there's
Yes.
different schools of thought on that. Of there is a time when you try and like I love Eckhart Tolle. We've discussed all that before, and you're recognizing ego, 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 and then learning things like Michael Singer's like surrender
Untethered soul.
and
Yeah.
I mean, when
Yeah.
people lean into letting go, you talk about victim consciousness, then manifestor, and then going into letting go, and then surrender is one of the highest.
It's beautiful.
Life's
Yeah.
happening for you and through you. But
Yeah. And that's when you say that surrender, that's part of that allow, accept, and embrace, right? That's realizing life is happening for you. So when things present, we don't resist it. We don't butt up against it. It's like it's here, it's presenting, and there's something within that. And some people say, well, there's always a lesson in everything. Not necessarily. Maybe it's just an opportunity to experience that firsthand for yourself. And so every moment is filled with potential, every moment is filled with possibilities, and that's where you become your own catalyst. And that's part of what Reiki is helping you become your own catalyst,
that
right? Is seeing what's happening and making those choices.
I've seen, like for anyone watching, my sisters learn it, my brothers learn it, my
Yeah.
brother-in-laws learned it. Every single person grew incredibly as a person. They all went through detoxification. They all healed mentally, physically, emotionally. They went on to even help others, whether they sent it distance or did it on each other. Just expanded them quite a bit. And they're not the same people. You're completely different people.
You're not.
You're
You
not.
can't. It's like one of those things. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and that's the same. Once you open, that's it. It's there. It's always a part of. Yeah.
There's no going back. If someone hadn't seen you in like a couple of years, it's gonna be what happened to that person. They're a bright light. They're just a bright light, which was already in.
I know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. And people will say, you look different. There's something different about you. And they can't put the finger on it. And then we'll describe it. Well, you just look happier. You look brighter. Yeah. Well, you don't fly off the handle anymore because it brings that peace and calm and harmony and balance within your life. I mean, that's part of the philosophy, right? To bring that peace and harmony into your life, because nothing triggers me. I used to go off like a bottle of pop, but nothing triggers me. And if something does, really, now it's like an arrow, just like piercing. It's like, whoa, okay, I'm aware of that one. I need to visit with that because there's something within that it's presenting that I need to look at within myself, because everything is all about yourself, right? Your life, it's all about you. And it really is about becoming more wise as you live your life.
I was going to mention the Reiki principles just a bit because I found
Yeah.
talk about how it's kind of like people say when you do yoga, eventually you're going to take yoga off the mat. And I found that with yoga for sure. Eventually you're kind of in that state. I found that with Reiki 100% too. It's not just you go and you're learning Reiki, it transforms your life. And the principles for keeping you, I'm going to say, in alignment, one that really like,
Yeah.
I'm placid in the midst of praise or blame was the one I remember you having on there. And I think that is not a very common one that I see taught ever. And I think
Which one? Sorry.
Placid in the midst of praise.
Placid. Yes. Yes.
That
Yeah.
I really feel that our society as a whole is overstimulated, and you have guys like Matt Kahn talking about the ego being an overstimulated nervous system. You go and you do stuff like that, you're helping unwind it, calm, and when you calm, the traumas and conditioning can come out of you. So I feel like that's phenomenal, that one. So.
And you can't just tell someone to calm down. You know, people are in that panic. Calm, calm, be calm. Because in that moment, they don't know how to be calm. And that's why if by learning this, then no matter what is showing up, first thing, pause, breathe. Okay, where are we at? What's taking place? And, you know, I got to practice that in Safeway, you know, when a lady collapsed and everyone's in panic. And I just went, you know, and it was an awesome moment. But it's remaining calm in the chaos, right? It's the eye of the storm. Every storm has that little eye where it's super, and it's the stillness. And we can be in that, regardless of the chaos that's happening around us. It's not our business. It's not our drama. It's some of the things that are happening. And, you know, when the anxiety class that I teach is can you influence? Can you control it? No. Then why are you worrying about it? That's philosophy and Reiki. Just for today, be free of worry. Why are you wasting precious energy? If you have 100% of energy and you're spending so many hours of your day just worrying, that's energy wasted. It's just gone. Because you can't bring solutions to that. And if you focus on the problem, we know through the laws of the universe, what you focus on, then you will get more of, because the universe says, oh, that's what you want, fine. The universe just literally takes orders. Yeah. But really, I mean, the precepts, the peace, serenity, integrity, kindness, gratitude, and then teaching you about ego. I mean, that's the basis of that, learning to if you're in this serene place, then wow, yeah, that's
But
something I can navigate that.
I feel what's important too, and what differentiates yourself as a teacher is I've come across other people that have learned Reiki, but they didn't fully put the work in. That they did have a transformation, but it is
No,
very important for you to do the self work and have a practice where you are looking inward and doing the personal development side. So I feel like you kind of take the personal development and the Reiki and you mesh it together really well.
it is. It is. I mean, the true essence of Reiki is all about you. It's your own self personal growth. And yes, there are many out there that are focused on just the table work, or it's a very quick study. And it's not. It's like, here's the content of where you go. Really, Reiki is about, as you say, practicing, but spending that time getting to know yourself, getting in tune with yourself. But we have to remember that since Reiki came to the Western world, it did become Americanized at first, right? And people learn what they've been taught. So if you were just taught that Reiki is table work, then that's all you know Reiki to be. There is no praise or blame, right? Because just there isn't. It just is what it is. And I love that about Reiki too. It's like, it just is what it is. So we work from, okay, so what is it? Okay, let's navigate this. We don't put judgment, we don't criticize. It's like, there are a lot of people out there who, my last student knew there was more to Reiki, but she didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And and then we connected it, and she's just been, I mean, she's had a phenomenal journey. Even my last teacher that I taught, she knew there was more to Reiki, and she wanted to teach Reiki. And it was interesting because we started off, because we have our program that we go through, and we look at each level, but from the teacher's perspective, right? And what happened was we had to extend the course because she had never done any of the self journey. She'd only
Yeah.
learned table work. And
Yeah.
so we had to add classes to it because she had to go through that herself first and
Yeah.
experience it before she could teach it.
Well,
So it's interesting. Yeah.
how would it benefit somebody to hand them a certificate if they hadn't gone through the transformation necessary to have the knowledge to transform themselves? And you said the thing about you felt there's more to Reiki. One thing that popped in my head there, and I felt this strongly before, Reiki is a lot older than what people talk about. They might not have called it Reiki before, but I believe it was like Lemuria, the ancient civilization is one that comes to mind of it stemming back even that far. Like it's not something new that's being taught. Like this is very
No.
old
Healing hands have been around. Yeah. Yeah. Healing hands have been around, and there's been teachings that have been lost. And that was part of Yusui's journey, right? He knew they existed, but how, and if you like, how to switch it on, how do you make it happen? He knew it's there, but how did you become able to do it and not you? And even, I've had a lot of people, because religion comes up a lot and Jesus comes up a lot. And when you look at, and we talked about Jesus before, and when you really kind of look at him in a different perspective, you start to see that energy work, healing hands, manifesting, all those things, right? It's almost like there was an opportunity to see that
Mm,
for yourself, right? That this does exist, it is possible.
mm,
And so the healing hands has been around for many, and some people come, they're naturally healers, and they're naturally in the sense that I use the term healers with caution, because
yeah.
no one can heal, right, as we know. But they come thinking they can heal people. And there are some people that are only interested in healing others, not realizing that is showing up because really they've got to work on themselves. And some Reiki practitioners only know how to work on others and not themselves. And so there becomes a conflict there, right? And you had mentioned somebody, like in theory, but in practice. So it's about walking your walk. It's
Exactly.
about living it, being it.
Exactly.
It's not just one thing to teach or do it for somebody. It's like, where does this fit in your own equation, right? How is this
it,
integrated in your own?
I just want to extend it to the point of like I'm very big into personal development. I'm sure I'll talk more on the channel about it and study a lot of different spiritual practices. I think of Tony Robbins comes to mind. People go to Tony Robbins because they want a huge life change. And I think maybe what they differentiate is they go, it must be amazing. It costs X amount of dollars. And comparatively, I'm telling people right now, if you're watching this, the change you would get from learning Reiki up to a master level would blow your mind. It is, I'm telling you, regardless of what you look at for price, I would compare it legitimately to something like you're going to be a different person. You're going to be a
Yeah,
different person. The personal development side is enormous. It's absolutely enormous. And you had mentioned Jesus there, like that is a whole other talk, but I've had friends that are teachers in practice, and I've had experiences too where you could be doing healing and Jesus shows up for in the healing. Um, the other thing was about, I mean, the thing I started to touch on there before about if you Google it, sometimes you'll hear it's this calming technique, but there are people having very big breakthroughs with healing on a deep level. And I mean, you heal the energy bodies, the subtle bodies. It's coming through to the physical. You heal the emotional bodies and the mental. It's coming through to the physical. And I don't feel like that's taught enough. That
no,
people think that it's just you're just a physical body and you are so like we've talked about auras before. Your aura can be massive,
yeah,
massive, hundreds of feet, depending on where somebody how developed somebody is. Like it can be huge. Um, yeah, I just if I had to recommend one thing to one person above and beyond any personal development, it would be a book. It would be meditate and learn Reiki.
yeah.
It's such a game changer.
It is absolutely, totally agree.
Yeah,
If someone is considering Reiki or looking and researching Reiki, here's something that I suggest to is do some research.
yeah,
Look for someone who is walking the walk,
yeah.
right? It doesn't matter if you come to me or go to someone else. There's lots, out there, but it's like it's important that they are walking their walk. So you want to have a conversation with them. Don't just sign up for something blindly, because you want to go in there knowing that they are going to help you understand yourself. You talk about the personal journey. You want to go in there knowing that they will learn skills for themselves, that you're going to help them to enable themselves, right? You're going to help them become their own catalyst. I will teach a person for so long. I'll actually give sessions for so long. And after a while, it's like, do you realize you can do this for yourself? Right? I'm not about keeping people coming back to me week after week after week. It's not about building clientele. It's about, but I'm a teacher at heart, and it's about teaching you to do this for yourself. And that creates the ripple effect, because once you learn it and you've seen that and you've watched that, it changes you. But what that does in a ripple effect is anyone that you associate with or anyone that you meet, you have a totally different experience with that person now, because you're coming from heart and soul. So the dynamics change. So in effect, relationships change. And it's just that ripple effect that just can be mind-blowing. But make sure, if you're looking for a class and looking for a teacher, see if you can meet with them. Most anyone that's come from heart and soul is willing to meet with you and connect. I like to do a Zoom meet, because then we both have an opportunity to see if we're a good fit. If you're the student for me and I'm the teacher for you, because it's really important that for me, that a student comes with an open mind, an open heart, willing to take responsibility themselves and willing to learn. Unless you're coming ready to do some work for yourself, then you're wasting your time, you're wasting my time, and you're wasting your money, because it evolves because you do the work yourself and you put in the time and effort. It's investing in yourself. It really is.
It does show integrity in yourself with regards to, I know we've spoken about that before. Pretty sure you've had that you've turned people away. If somebody wanted to learn at teacher level
I
or
have.
like this, and you're going, you're not ready to be doing this.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
says a lot as opposed to, hey, here's the money sort of thing. I did want to touch on, you said it there, I kept thinking about this. The relationship side is profound. When you go along and you're learning that you have a vibration, everyone else has a vibration, everything starts to move and shift with your relationships with this. I really found that everyone I know that's really learned it and went through the levels found the exact same thing. It is like through osmosis too. Your healing trickles out to your friends and family members. Things move and shift. They start talking maybe about consciousness, or things just start spreading, and their vibe starts going up. It's game changing. Yeah,
Yeah.
impressive.
And the most important relationship is the one with yourself.
Mm, yeah,
It's the most.
I think that's it, because you're taking responsibility and you're doing your self healing and all this sort of stuff. But also, you'd mentioned it about you not being the healer. The energy is coming through you, and I think that's what it is. People need to remember that it's not you,
Yeah.
like that energy and that chi coming through you. It's that life force energy, or it's coming from source. So technically, you are not the one with that. But felt like touching on that.
We're
Uh,
the vehicle. We're the vehicle.
yeah, yeah,
The
that's
conduit, the vehicle, whatever term you want to give it, right?
and
We
I
are a living, breathing energy, right?
exactly.
That's it.
Um, some of the stuff you found when I just want to touch on how much it can transform somebody's life. I remember you telling me about a student before. She was a police officer. She wanted to completely get out of it and just go, I want to do Reiki now. It is phenomenal what it can bring up in people, that you're kind of going, service. I want to help people. I want to do this. This feels amazing. I want to help people. It can really, really transform people. Yeah.
I teach mostly people who do have that inner desire to
Mm,
help others.
yeah.
And they sometimes they come with that inner desire, I want to learn about this because I want to help other people. And they realize as they go through the process that, okay, this is like helping me. And because of my own experiences, I can help others.
Mm,
And it's, but they come with that, I want to help other people. You can't fix anybody.
yeah.
And in truth, there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to heal, because if everything is happening for you, it's just the process. It's just evolution. So there is nothing wrong with anybody. You are where you are at because of the choices you made, because of what energy you've stored, because of the emotions you've stored, the experiences you've had. There is no right or wrong. Everyone is perfect as they are. They're just showing up wherever they are at on their curve of life. And if we don't evolve from an experience, it'll happen again, as you know, repeating patterns. And so, unless we become aware, those patterns will keep repeating. We'll keep getting dead end jobs because we blame the job. We'll keep getting dead end relationships because we're meeting every experience with that past version of us. And that's what Reiki helps you to do, is to help you be clear and to evolve into the next version of you, right? Who you're being in this moment. And that changes when you change your frequency, then you will meet other people on that same frequency. It's just a natural law of the universe. We all vibrate together on this frequency.
Well,
So we all evolve together.
I feel like, and if anyone's watched other videos on the channel discussing the universal law, primary law is law of vibration. It's not law of attraction. That's not the
No,
first law. So if you're thinking about this and you learn more about it, you should be going, or probably want to be going, how do I raise my vibration? But not just a little bit. How do I make it shoot through the roof? That's where the abundance is, more love, more health, more money, all like everything you're on the increase. So
mm-hmm.
personally, I look at things of like the physical detoxification for sure, the mental, emotional, your grounding, your earthing, your yoga, your meditation, but Reiki for sure. I mean, your vibration, I've seen it in people that almost looked like dim and contracted, the best way to describe it, like they've been through a lot. Then they learn some
Mm-hmm.
Reiki and it's just like gone. The heaviness is gone, that dimness is gone. They look like a bright light and their soul is like shining. Their eyes are just pumping out that love. You're kind of going, whoa. And they have a presence all of a sudden because it's like their true self. They're fully connected to it. Um,
It is.
yeah, I just really wanted to state that. I mean, serious. Yeah.
And it's true. It's that love light in your eyes. We are love and light, right? And it shines and it sparkles. And it's like little stars in your eyes. After my car accident, and I was off work 14 months and went through depression, I did mirror work. I had no sparkle. It's like the lights are on, but nobody's home. The lights weren't even on. There was just a blankness in my eyes, a darkness, a nothingness. And I was in that nothingness for quite a while. So having experienced that and where I was then, in that experience and where I am in this. And that's all life is giving you experiences and helping you to choose for yourself, but just to experience that. And maybe that was on your bucket list when you came,
Yeah,
I
your
experienced
soul.
this. We don't know, because right when we're born, we suddenly don't have that, and we know there's something, and then we set off on a search because we know there's something. And that's why people are always searching and seeking for that magic something, and that magic something is yourself. And
Mm,
when you connect here, that's when you feel at home again. That's when it's like, okay, this
you-
is it. And then you're empowered and away you go.
yeah, it's really interesting what happens with people if they don't know themselves and they're lost as to who they are and what their true nature is. And it's like when
Yeah,
you connect with all this, it transforms everything. But I was going to touch on, like, right now with the things going on in the world, this is a perfect time to be delving into this sort of stuff, giving people the tools to manage themselves. Not, instead of trying to manage everything, you have to look at what can I control, what can't I control. You can't just
yeah,
manage everyone around you and all this. Like, I'll give you an example. I was meditating out front on the lawn today, and I literally had people go, "Oh, whoa, whoa, sorry, sorry," because they were talking, and I burst out laughing. And I said, and I'm just kind of going, "What am I supposed to say? Hey, keep it down. We're outdoors. You're walking down the
yeah,
street. I can't manage you." Um, Tools to manage self and keep yourself in check. And I won't even say in
yeah,
check, but balance. Recognize your own stuff as it comes up. Like with what's going on in the world, there's a lot of stuff being poked in people. And some of the
yeah,
mental health stuff that's going on is probably coming up because people don't have the tools. And you look what's going on, and people are really getting poked, really triggered, and they could use that foundation. That's
yeah.
how I'm seeing this. Probably why I feel drawn to be.
Reiki was uh, Reiki was my catalyst. As soon as I learned Reiki, I was at home, and then everything that I do, all the courses, mentoring, everything, the foundation is Reiki, and it expanded. And that's how come I wrote my first book and my second book, which is coming out pretty soon. Is It's all about understanding we are energy, right? And the first book I wrote because I was teaching Reiki, and it's like, well, you have to understand where this energy bubble, where it's energy fields, everything is energy. And so that's what drove creating that book. But it's Reiki is the key. It
Mhm.
really is. And yes, you're absolutely right. It's a perfect time to learn Reiki for yourself and to start tuning in to those gifts and abilities within you, because it exists already. It's nothing foreign. It's just a matter of tuning into them. And don't wait. I mean, the healing part adult life, Freedom 55 for me was not monetary. It was actually, I was free to be me. I was finally free. Other people's opinions no longer define me. I was no longer in those expectations of society, or, those roles and labels. But the encouragement is, let's teach this to the younger generation. Let's teach this to the children, the teenagers, the young adults, because if they can hone those skills at that age, they will find it much easier to navigate life, and especially the younger children who are coming in as such empaths and
Yeah,
extra sensory aware, and they don't know that it's not their emotion. They're in all this anger and fear and turmoil inside because they're that sponge picking up the energy of the people around them, their parents, the anxiety that
we've
they're, and
we've
they don't
talked
know
about
it's not theirs, and they don't have language to articulate.
we've talked about this in the past, that there was young, they could be light workers, empaths, that they were ready to leave the planet because they were
Yes,
so either overwhelmed or stressed, or the boundary issues, or they're feeling so much. I mean, there's varying degrees of empaths out there. It can really ramp up. And when you I've seen it people before where I'm going, that person needs a teacher, that person needs a teacher, that person to manage themselves. Um,
Yes.
and the other thing I was going to mention, along with that, it's becoming really common now. CEOs and some of these companies, Fortune 500 companies in Silicon Valley, people are going into wanting to learn altered states, wanting to learn more deep meditation practices and plant medicine and all these things. And all I was going to say is, before you even delve into certain things, obviously meditation, Reiki could shift you like nobody's business. I mean, the shift in who you are as a person and the tools it gives you to manage yourself and the world you're living in. Just the word that comes to mind is awareness, a deeper, deeper awareness. You might even start seeing, I don't know, understanding people better because you're understanding yourself better.
It does, and that's where the love, compassion, and understanding comes in. That's what we're here to learn, compassion. When you can meet every experience, every person with love, compassion, and understanding, changes the dynamics, because you're not meeting them with past anger or past perception of who that person is, or you're not meeting them with criticism and judgment. Totally different dynamics. And that's really what we want to grow, is that love, compassion, and understanding. Absolutely. I hear you on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I won't get right into it, but there is so much going on right now at this time in the world and the fear that's coming out in everyone. And I just feel like it's a good time to do this with this channel and have talks like this where it's going, hey guys, you're going to get what you focus on. So let's focus, bring this back to love and light, bring this back to what you can be doing as opposed to, well, this is out of my control and this is going on in the world. Like there could be people,
I give that energy. If
yeah,
you
okay.
can't control it, you can't influence. Two things: control and influence. And so there's three: that you no control, no influence. Then why are we even doing that? And why are we even giving it the time of day? Because there's nothing we can do. So it is what it is. You can influence it, but you still don't control the outcome. A good example is right now politics. You can vote, you can do your part to influence, but you can't control the outcome. So we have to surrender that outcome, but we do what we can to influence. And then the third one, what you can influence and what you control. And
Yeah.
that is your own thoughts, emotions, choices. It's really about yourself. And that's where we put the attention and focus. And it's not conceited, it's not ego, it's understanding yourself.
Your point of attraction is important with this. I mean, if you're doing Reiki, you're managing yourself, you're keeping grounded, you're following the principles, keeping your chakras spinning properly and aligned, all this sort of stuff, balanced head to toe. What do you think you're going to be attracting in your life? Better, 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 better. Your vibration will be higher.
Think of fine tuning yourself and running at the optimum frequency or the optimum performance, right? Because everything, every organ in your body, every cell in your body is, when I went through the cancer diagnosis, that was one of my mantras, that every cell in my body was vibrating with pristine health. Pristine health. Every cell in my body.
I like that.
Oh, I had a lot.
Oh.
I was so laser focused that because I understood this principle and this philosophy at what you focus on. So I never I never first of all labeled myself that I had cancer. Symptoms showed up. There was a diagnosis that the doctors labeled. But I tell you what, I did 2 months of solid every day self journey, and I had conversations, I did journaling, I did meditations, I did you name it, and I got so many insights, and I learned the emotion that was stuck there was rejection. And so that's what I needed to explore. How have and 3 ways: how have I rejected other people, how have they rejected me, but most important, how have I rejected myself? He's writing notes that quick. I like that one.
Oh, no, seriously, you get these gems. You get these gems. When it comes up, I'll talk about it on the channel. You write it down. That's for you.
Yeah.
You hear
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that comes from practicing and walking your walk, right? I just don't tell people to go spend time with self and do a Reiki meditation. Yeah. It's like experiences come up. I embraced that experience. And people thought I was nuts. What do you mean? You should fight cancer. And I said, no, it's showing up. It's showing up for me to look at something within myself. And
Why?
so I did my self journey.
What's beneath it? Yeah, what's beneath it and what caused the root cause of it? That's a whole other.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we'll go
Yeah.
there. But considering that everything starts as energy,
It
it's
does.
just, you mentioned
And
about
that's why I said it's not necessarily about, sorry, it's not about fixing, because we resolve something, we dissolve it, and then we just simply evolve. There's nothing to fix. Once we resolve and get the understanding, it doesn't exist anymore. It dissolves. So there's nothing to fix.
so it just like I bring it back to the personal development. If somebody's in a space where maybe they feel they're lost, they need guidance, a dark night of the soul is going on, they're feeling maybe depressed. Uh, I think one of the ones is lost is a big one. And they feel that they need some direction. They feel that they need to do something to really help themselves. I couldn't think of anything better, to be honest. It will give you some direction, maybe some more meaning. When you understand yourself better, there's a clarity that will come over the world around you. Because as everything in here changes, everything in here changes. That's
It does change the inner, right? Understand this in here. And we know the outside is really just reflecting what we're projecting. So the outside world is happening so we can see what it looks like. So it shows up as a messenger and we get to see that. And it's like, oh, that's showing up. The people in your life are the same thing, right? And so when we realize that the external is really just a projection of what's happening inside, all of a sudden the pennies drop and everything begins to make sense. It's like, oh, that's showing up. Okay, what's in my equation? What part of me is vibrating at that for that to show up? Because we're just like this video camera projecting a movie, and life is the movie, right? We're in lots of different movies, different characters. But it's when we understand some of these analogies, it helps you to understand yourself.
yeah.
And ultimately, that's all we're here to do is to have our experiences, come to an understanding, learn to meet everything with love and compassion, and take that wisdom, that's that conscious awareness that's ever evolving. And really, that's because consciousness, remember the moisture in the air,
Yeah.
it just goes back to source. And then a different combination comes down, has a different life, right? Out of there, what, 7 billion? How many billion in the world? Everyone's unique, no two the same.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we might want to wrap it up. This might be.
Yes.
Look at the time. I'm
A
looking
little longer
at the
than
time.
anticipated.
This might be about 48 minutes or so. So thank you for coming on. I might very well have you back in the future. I did
Yeah.
say show this, but yeah, you made a huge impact in my life. So I want to thank you for that. Honestly, Hazel.
But you can take a horse to water, right? You can't make them drink. You
Yeah.
came thirsty and you
Yeah.
filled your bucket.
I
And boy,
needed,
I
I
mean,
needed a
what
drink.
bullets.
You were yeah, and you gave me the ocean. No, really, like it's just been phenomenal. Transformed my life.
I didn't give it you. You became it. You
Yeah.
became it, right?
So yes. So thank you. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for coming on. And where can people get in touch with you?
www.albertareiki.com, or you can email me at hazel@albertareiki.com. Yeah, you'll find information there. And if anybody is looking to learn Reiki and has resonated with me today and would like to know more, then yeah, get in touch and we'll set up a Zoom call and see if we're a good fit for each other, and take it from there. Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So I think I'm going to sign off. And if any of you watching are interested, by all means, contact Hazel. Honestly, you couldn't ask for a better teacher.
Thank you.
Seriously, transformative, like life changing. If you decide to take this path, it is very, very impressive. All right. I'm going to sign off. You take
Thank you.
it. Bye.
All right.